Hello there, nerds. Welcome to the Nerd Rundown presents Obi-Wan Kenobi. The long-awaited Star Wars spinoff has now come and gone, and we're here to break it down for you. Let you all know what we thought of it. I'm Darren Stemple, and with me today are some of the biggest Star Wars nerds I know, like Eric Hare.
Hello, everybody.
Big Morg 3000.
General Kenobi.
Is that your one Star Wars impression?
Yeah, that was spot on.
Meg Bradbury.
Hey.
And the king himself. Brett King.
It's a trap.
All right. First off, spoilers ahead. So if you have not watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, please go watch this. Go watch that, and then come back and watch this.
Your taste buds can't repel flavor of that magnitude.
Is that Spaceballs?
No,
what is that from?
I think it's Robot Chicken.
Oh,
Chicken. It's like advertising Doritos or something.
Yeah, it's like
let's start off by going around the horn and seeing what the initial reactions were. Very surface level initial reactions, because we're going to get into the details. So I'm going to start with you, Eric. Initial reactions to the show.
I liked it. Yeah, I mean, I overall I liked more of it than I didn't like it. So that's my quick and dirty.
I like it. Meg?
Similar to Eric, but overall just kind of meh. I don't have any strong opinions, I don't think, right now. Okay. Maybe as we get into the discussion, I might change my mind a little.
Unlock some stuff in the mind. Morgan? Initial reaction.
I enjoyed watching it, but it was a bad show. If that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll get into that.
God, I'm gonna love.
This is gonna be fun.
This.
Yeah. We'll get into what Morgan means by that later on. Brett, reaction?
I liked it. I felt like it was called Obi-Wan, and it developed the character Obi-Wan, and I feel like that's exactly what it should have done.
I like that. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a bookend show. I really liked the beginning, and I really liked the end. And the middle, maybe it could have been done better, but I didn't mind it. There was maybe some things that in the middle of it, I was like, but by the end, everything kind of wrapped up well for me. More than well. I really, really, really enjoyed the ending. And a lot of that has to do with, the two main characters of this show. Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously, played by the great Ewan McGregor, and Darth Vader, no longer Anakin Skywalker. And, when we first heard about this show a while back, and they announced that they were bringing Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader, we on this show talked about why are they bringing Hayden Christensen back? So I'm going to ask, I'll start with you, Eric, again. I'm going to ask you, do you think it was worth it to bring Hayden Christensen back?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. The majority of his performance was actually James Earl Jones' voice, so you really could have put anybody in the suit up to that point. I thought it was kind of, there's a throwback scene in there where the two of them are he's having a memory of an earlier time, which I thought was useless. Like, I thought it was a useless part. So, So I guess the only piece that makes it worth it, and we're full on spoilers. I'm just be sure that we all know this is full on spoilers. The final battle between the two of them, that I think was the payoff there, because you get to see half of his face, as Vader, and half of his face as Anakin, and so you get a big payoff for that. So to me, that was worth the casting. Other than that, you probably could have got, if you didn't have that particular scene, then no, I don't think so. But because of it, I think at the end it made it all worth it.
I think that was Hayden Christensen's best acting he's ever done in that one scene.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Hayden Christensen gets a bad rap for being, I've said this before, I will continue to say it, he had a shit director, and when that's your first, and shit dialogue
writing.
Yeah. So I mean, even
but
Natalie
that
Portman
scene
couldn't polish
is-
that gem, so
When he said, "You did not," he's like, "You did not kill Anakin Skywalker. I did."
right.
That was really great. That was a huge moment for me. That was just, and you could feel it on Obi-Wan's face, the relief. Like that was his moment to move on. Brett, what did you think about bringing Hayden Christensen back?
I think when you look at the pie chart of how the money was spent, no portion of that says his name. So I think it was money well spent.
Got him for a bargain.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you probably didn't overpay him. So I feel like why wouldn't you?
Right.
You probably just had to go find him at TGI Fridays, ask him, and he probably would find him. Had to ask for a little time off.
I skipped this shit, boss.
What was the restaurant in Waiting? Is it Bojangles? Is that what the name?
Yeah.
Is that Bojangles?
Hey, do you want to be in this movie? You know what? I got a guy. I got a guy on the other line about some white walls. Can I call you back later?
It's like Henry Cavill playing video games when he's getting the call for Superman. Oh, freaking Zack Snyder's calling me. Anyway, Meg, what did you think about the dichotomy between Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker?
Well, going back to that scene that we were just talking about, I liked how it did kind of give him that relief. Because I don't know that he really had it in his mind, like maybe we can kind of, reconcile things or, apologize or whatever. He clearly had to get that off his chest, that he felt guilty for everything that had happened. And so it was kind of a relief for him at the end to be like, okay, this dude is not who I used to know. And now I can take care of business the way that I need to. And I kind of get where you're coming from, Eric, saying like that was kind of a throwaway scene. We didn't really need those memories kind of thrown in there. But for someone like me who's not as deep into Star Wars, it kind of helped flesh out that past connection that they had and where they are now with the situation as it is. So that was kind of, not necessarily awesome to see, but it was just kind of, it added a little bit more to the story for me.
Fire Aztec, because that is exactly why they had a flashback at the very first scene of the night of Order 66, and they show Reva's character, and at that point everybody knows that's going to be Reva. Like that ends up, that's not a huge reveal. Honestly, I'm surprised they dragged it out as long as they did, but I think that also served as like, hey, we're not only making this show for diehard Star Wars fans, we're making this show for regular fans of stuff. And so that's a really good take right there, that scene also serves as a storytelling device to show you that Anakin really doesn't learn from his mistakes. And that's why that's why Obi-Wan, and listen, we all know this going in, Obi-Wan has to survive and Darth Vader has to survive. So how do you how do you work around, that and still build tension? Well, you do it by having them square off, show how Anakin doesn't learn from his mistakes, and then really that's how you defeat him, because he's still the same dumbass from before. And so that
Darth
was
Vader,
really,
dumbass.
Anakin's the dumbass because he doesn't learn. So
Anakin's bad. Darth Vader
don't
killed him.
no Darth Vader. He's great. I love Darth Vader. Morgan, did you have a similar emotional reaction when you saw that scene of
that scene was the highlight of the show. The where he cuts off the part of the mask. That was definitely the highlight. I'm happy Hayden Christensen was getting some work. Other than that, he was pointless. It's not like you needed him. Even in the flashback, it was just they had to DH him, and he looked weird. So they didn't really need him at all, as far as I'm concerned. I'm happy he was there, just for my sake of some of the nostalgia. Like, okay, good, he's here, he's playing it again. But realistically, if it was any Joe Schmo there, nobody would have known or cared. It still would have been the same show.
Okay. I think it was a win bringing him back. I love world building, and it kind of helps build out the world of that. And it would have felt weird if they had somebody else, or they didn't connect Obi-Wan to Anakin, because there is still, he's struggling because he had to kill his brother. That would mess you up as a person, even as a Jedi. It would mess you up, and that was a plot thread or a loose end that had to be tied up for him to be able to move on. And you can only effectively do that by bringing back Hayden Christensen. So those are the two main characters of the show, definitely the highlights of the show. But one other highlight that, I don't know if anybody knew this going in, but we got a lot of young Leia, and not a whole lot of young Luke, but with young Leia being one of the highlights of the show, in my own opinion. What did you think of the young Skywalkers? I'll start with Mr. Negative. No, I'm joking. Morgan, what did you think of the young Skywalkers?
Isn't it weird how we all knew you were going to start with?
Mr. Negative is appropriate. I hated the whole Leia thing. It was too much of her.
Even her name. You don't even say her name.
Leia. Didn't I say Leia?
Yeah, Leia.
Said Leia.
I hated Leia. It was too much of her. It just was. She was. We now know 10-year-old Leia is smarter than Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It just didn't make sense to me to have it so much focused around her. She was the star of the show, as far as I'm concerned. She was the big star. She was the standout in the show. The kid did a good job. I'm not saying she was bad or anything like that. The acting, she was good. It just did not make sense to me to have them have such a close relationship, just to later be like, F it, I don't know this dude. You saved my life 30 freaking times for being kidnapped, but I don't know.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in the nerd debate.
But that bugged me. I just thought it was too much of her. She was way too capable for a 10-year-old princess. I'm sorry. It was just too much. I'm not talking to you, Siri. It was just too much for me.
Series of
the droids think you're wrong.
Siri's like, what? The droids are revolting.
It was more like, I'm sorry, what?
I think that was a big problem for me. It was just too much of her, and just another estranged father taking care of a child story.
This is a plot or a point I'm going to bring up in nerd debates. So we're gonna get there, but good. Like I said, I'm getting your takes on these things. Getting your energy.
The guy said I loved it, but I didn't like it.
It's hard to explain. I enjoyed watching it.
I enjoyed watching it, but I hated every second of it.
Think of it as some of cheesy Nick Cage stuff. You enjoy watching it, but it's not good.
Okay, let's not bring Nick Cage in this. Speaking of Nick Cage,
should have brought him in.
Young Leia, did she resonate with you? Was she a character you enjoyed? What do you think?
I did enjoy her, and I kind of liked seeing what she was like as a kid. Explains why she was the way she was as an adult or how she was as an adult. I enjoyed that. And overall, I thought that the little girl that played her was amazing and she did a great job. But I liked the character as well. I didn't think that there was too much of her. I think it would have been weird to have it focus, and I'm kind of over the whole Skywalker stuff. I want new things. So it was kind of nice to at least see Leia in terms of, we didn't get as much information about her or whatever in, all of the franchise. So to go back and focus on Luke when he was a kid, I didn't want to see that anyway. And I think it would have been weird because I don't know. So I liked Leia. I liked the way they did it. It was a little frustrating that she seemed a bit brighter than Obi-Wan, but I'll take that. That's one of the things that I just kind of will accept about the show.
Okay. She was very capable. I mean, I don't know if brighter is the right word. We'll get to that in your debates. Eric, what do you think of young Leia?
I tend to agree with everybody here. The actress herself was great. She really embodied Carrie Fisher. I thought she did a great job of having that spice and that flavor that Carrie Fisher brought to the role. I agree with Morg as well. I think if anything, she was the highlight, or if you will, the MVP of the show. Even though the show was more about Obi-Wan, she more or less was the MVP of the show. I really did like her performance. I have continuity issues. We will talk about them. I have, so I share them along with Morgan. That causes me some, but not enough to be like, oh, overall I hate the show. So she was good. I thought she was good. I enjoyed her performance, and I like that they tied. I agree. I am kind of sick of the Skywalkers as well. I think we're ready to move. I think a lot of people are ready to move on from the Skywalkers. And it was neat to be able to tie them in there, but I maybe was not necessary, but okay. So overall it was good.
Young Skywalkers, Brett, both. Did you like the direction they took?
I thought it was fine. I don't think, she was very bright, but to be fair, she's going to grow up to be a strategic planner that brings down the Empire. So I think it's fair for her to be fairly bright as a 10-year-old girl. Kenobi's, knocking the rust off. He was used to being a soldier for the entire Clone War. So it's not like he was General Kenobi and he did do strategic things, he also hasn't done it in a very long time. And I think it's fair to knock some rust off. I don't think you should be showed up by a 10-year-old at any point. But at the same time, I can understand they've only got a limited time to develop the character of Leia.
Yeah.
I also don't think it's I feel like in all the other movies we got just as much Leia as we did Luke. So I don't think it's accurate to say I feel like we didn't get enough of Leia, because I feel like that takes away from what Carrie Fisher did as an actress. She was very strong in everything she did. So while I was happy to go back and see the upbringing of Leia, I don't think it's accurate to say that that was her time in the sun, because Luke had his already. I think they all had theirs.
Oh, I get it. Okay. That makes sense. That's fair. Okay. I'll stick with you real quick. Because the last piece of the characters are the side characters. You got the Inquisitors, you got Reva, you got the Grand Inquisitor, fifth brother, some sister. You have Talia from who is from Game of Thrones, died in a fiery blaze. You had Camille Nanjiani's fake Jedi character. What do you think about the side characters, Brett? Who was your favorite? Who was one you were like, can't wait till the next scene they're off?
All of them, I didn't care for any of those side characters.
I guess even the Inquisitors.
Well, I felt like you knew who she was the second she popped out. I didn't feel like she was anything special. I didn't want another character that I felt bad for. Like I wanted a villain. I wanted to not like the villain. I wanted to see the fight between Kenobi and her, and you didn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
as far as the fake Jedi, at least that was original. I'll give him that. Like at least that was
Yeah.
original. And so I didn't hate that. I just didn't feel like that added anything to any of the story. Like it's not like that's a character that's going to develop.
He's not getting his own spin-off show.
Right. I mean, he didn't develop 1 ounce between what he was and at the end of the show. And then I guess the most interesting one was the Game of Thrones girl. Although how throwaway is that? Like,
yeah. I think
mean, it wasn't
they
like
felt
anything-
like we were going to care more about her death than, and
Right.
maybe some people did, but it's like,
I feel like
I've
after-
seen her for 2 episodes, you know?
yeah, I wasn't invested in her. You needed
No.
to do a whole lot more for me to be invested in her. I thought she would have been the one I was just starting to come around to. But then they killed her, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm not getting attached to that one.
Don't need to waste my time with that one.
See ya.
I
I
think I was
didn't
sadder for
understand
the
the whole-
robot.
Yeah, I didn't understand the
droid.
whole robot thing. Like, why
Yeah.
is this robot protecting
Why
her?
are we-
Is there some sort of? Are you trying to build
Yeah.
some other silly Lando relationship around a robot? Like,
Yeah, was he in love? Was this robot in love with as a human? Good point. Grand Inquisitor, though, did you like him? I mean, he was off screen.
he died and then he was there.
90% of the show. Yeah. I wish we had more Grand Inquisitor. That's my thought on that. And Riva was fine. I love the honest trailer bit that says she went to the school of talking loudly and then talking softly and then talking loudly. Yeah. So it felt overacting at that point.
I guess I like the other Inquisitor better, the one with the large hat. Like, he was very threatening to her.
Fifth brother.
Yeah, like he was very threatening to her, and I wanted to see, like, if I wasn't getting Obi-Wan in her fight, and I wanted him in her fight.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen either.
Yeah, for sure on that one. Meg, what did you think of the side characters? Who was your favorite?
So I don't think he fit with the show at all, but I loved Kumail Nanjiani. I just think he's so funny. But he did not fit with the show at all. As far as everybody, I mean, it was just, I don't know. I just had kind of a neutral reaction to everybody. I kind of was referring to the Grand Inquisitor as Uncle Fester with the earmuffs, because like he just, I don't know. He looked weird and creepy, but not intimidating to me or whatever. Riva, I didn't make the, and probably because I was watching it. So I watched on my phone, like I do all of whatever I watch. It was so dark and it was so hard to see. And so I wasn't.
It was dark.
It was dark.
Well, yeah, probably true. So I wasn't really paying attention 100% of the time. I didn't miss the connection that Riva was a youngling. I didn't even notice. You know what I mean? I just saw a bunch of kids or whatever, and so that was kind of like didn't see that coming kind of thing. So I was the one person that didn't see that coming. But
We call you casuals.
Yeah, I'm a casual fan. But so I don't know, her whole storyline. I didn't love it. I don't know what it was lacking or how to describe it any more fully than that. But it just didn't. Something was missing for me, for her.
Felt like a missed opportunity.
Definitely missed opportunity. And it feels like we should care more, for sure. And what was really, there was one scene that really pissed me off is when they were escaping from the Inquisitorius, or what's it called, Palace Inquisitors or something. The snow speeders came up and saved the day, and one of those pilots died. And first of all, the other pilot was like, Will, or whatever his name was, and they had like a 3-second crying scene of her in the snow speeder, and then they get back to the base and everybody's like all down because of this pilot, and we didn't even know, like, why are we spending so much time on a character we didn't even know? So that,
I thought that was the worst.
like, it was
scene.
trying
I
to-
thought that was the worst scene.
by far the worst scene, right?
It felt
Eric,
It felt like there must have been a side story there, like maybe there was a side story that got cut from the like a I don't know, some like I feel like that character, Like it just seemed weird that they all were that emotional about that one where we really had only met that dude one time and it was very, very brief.
Deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Very
So
brief.
I feel like that was like a deleted timeline that something went on there. Meg is right on the Camille Nanjiani. I can never say his name right, but his character was out of place for the recurrence of the same character. Like I felt that if you just had that scene where he's just a dirtbag trying to fleece people and that was his cameo and that was it, then I would have been like, oh, okay, that's a well-placed cameo piece in there, and we say goodbye to that character and it's done. Like we never had to go back to that. Like the other parts that he plays in the movie later on could all have been played by some other character that you introduce or whatever,
robot that she could fall in love with.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So there was no need to return that character back, like the familiarity, which again will go back to another bit of my criticism that this thing was way too long. This story did not need to be 6 episodes long. Like you probably could have condensed it into 2 or 3, like you could have told this in 3, because a lot of it was just rehashing the same crap over and over again. Like you could have cut so she gets kidnapped, everybody gets introduced, she gets kidnapped, he rescues her, he loses her, he follows her, he rescues her. I mean, it's like, okay, so we did the same thing twice. Like we did the exact same thing twice. And like you could have cut out the first rescue and just gone straight to the second rescue. And maybe that's where we learned about Will and how important and what an amazing guy he was. And so when he gets blown out of the sky in the snowspeeder on the water planet, it's a real loss, and we all should be crying, but we're not. But so I don't know. I just felt it was too long. So anyhow, Camille Nanjiani's character, I didn't like Reva. I'm same as Brett. I wanted her to be a villain. She should have stayed a villain. She should have stayed a villain, and I would have been perfectly okay with that. Like you didn't need to make her a youngling. She could have been just somebody who was out for ambitious, and she was out for the Grand Inquisitor job. And that would have been fine. Like that would have been fine. So I don't know. The tertiary.
It's like, why did they have to tie that back? Why? What was the point of tying her to Anakin? Like it.
I get.
Would have been nice just to have her be going after the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, and you look at the whole, like, are we trying to go with a redemption story with her? Is that where we were at the end? Like, oh, she's redeemed herself at the very end. It's like, well, she's done some horrible shit, man. Like she's killed a lot of people, and she's gotten like, and we're all just gonna be like, well,
she chopped that old lady's hand off in the market for no reason.
Right? We're just gonna swat her on the butt and say, hey, good game. Thanks for playing. Like
did it to Darth Vader
for not killing.
I mean, I don't get, like, I don't like everything's like, oh well, she's been redeemed, I guess, or whatever. Like no, like she needs to be brought, to justice and and like we've got to have some stuff going on. So I don't know, like the Reva character, I didn't. The Grand Inquisitor stuff, I thought I agree with Brett. Also, I thought the other Grand Inquisitor guy the other Inquisitor was actually more entertaining of the thing. Can we talk about how Qui-Gon Jinn should be pretty upset? Because apparently in this series you can run a lightsaber through everybody and they make it, but Qui-Gon gets one and he's
went
done.
through the heart.
I quit.
It's like,
the Grand
He didn't go through the heart. He talked.
Yeah, everybody prior to this gets run through with a lightsaber and they're done for. But in this series, we get 2 people who make it, and it's like, all right.
I don't know how. Like that was another thing about Reva, that she survived that. It was like, why do we need that? What?
I don't get why.
Let her die. Like, what was the point of her going back there?
if Vader knew who she was the whole time, he led her down a very dark path. I feel like there was no coming back from, which is why I don't feel like she's redeemable. And then, like, why would he let her live? Like,
yeah. It really made no sense.
Or did he do that on purpose?
Did they want to have a scene where it shows how badass Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are? This was like
unnecessary. It was unnecessary.
There was no need for that.
Yeah.
No need.
I will say that Joel Edgerton's Lars was good.
I do love him.
He was good
as Lars. He was really good.
Yeah.
He was really great.
But again, way too much.
I feel like,
way too much. He didn't need to be. He didn't need to be in it as much.
The closest I feel like she got to redemption was that episode where she got killed. It was like she got the revenge she was looking for, and I felt like that was good enough as redemption for her. I didn't need to see her go and let Luke live. Like, the best she could hope for was getting the revenge she was looking for.
Yeah.
Or at least attempting it.
Right, at least attempting it. I mean, I get what you're going to say here, Morgan. Who out of the side characters was a positive for you?
I like the fifth brother. I liked him a lot. Was just played by Han from Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But I thought even his little screen time, I liked him more than any of the other Inquisitors. I felt like he brought more to it. Like we all said, Reva in the end was pointless. I think she should have been the main villain in this throughout have some Darth Vader in there, that's fine, but she should have been the overall main villain, trying to hunt Obi-Wan down, and I wanted a fight between them. That's what I wanted. And I know it's not about what I want, but she just seemed pointless, and her whole thing was to get revenge on Anakin for killing younglings and Jedis, so she had to kill a shit ton of younglings and Jedis to get close. And it's like, well, you're just as bad now. It's like, there's no redeeming you.
Well, but she's doing it for a good reason, which is to kill Darth Vader.
And to kill Darth Vader.
Right.
It's like,
it's just fifth brother. I like it.
But to be fair, then he did it for good reason, because he killed the Emperor. Like, she's not better then.
Yeah.
Right. Han, fifth brother's voice. It kind of, I don't know. It was annoying. It annoyed me. But he was out of the Inquisitors, probably the most interesting of them all. All right, so let's move over to the next piece of this. We're doing this a little bit differently. So before we get to our nerding out on certain topics about the show, about things that we liked and didn't like, and see if we can't make Morgan turn around on his opinion here, but going into this show, our expectations were at a certain place, or we're in a certain place. If you're a fan of the original trilogy, you're a fan of Alec Guinness and the role he plays in A New Hope. If you're a fan of the prequels, you love Obi-Wan, you think he's the baddest dude on the planet, or any planet, or in the galaxy. Or if you're just a general Star Wars fan, you're looking to see, how they fill in the gaps, or maybe it's all of the above, right? How are they going to fill in the gaps? How are they going to make it happen? How are they going to make a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi where we know his beginning and his end? And I think it's important to talk about expectations at first, going into the show. So I'm going to start with you again, Eric. Going into Obi-Wan Kenobi, what were you expecting from this show? And now that you have hindsight, what has changed about that perspective?
My expectations were pretty low. Yeah, to be honest. Okay. Like I have not, other than The Mandalorian and Rogue One, everything since Return of the Jedi has really just not been good. I just have not really liked anything. So my expectations were low, and my expectations were for the most part met. This is still another miss. It's still a reminder that I'm going to get Star Wars bad Star Wars is going to continue to go on until somebody does something different. So it's just how it is. So I'm going to get
Did the
Star
show-
Wars good and hard for the rest of my
Did
life.
the show turn you around on any part of Star Wars, or do you feel the exact same? You said it met your expectations.
Yeah, I met my
Anything
expectations.
in your
No,
mind
I
changing?
don't feel like, at least for the time being, I don't feel hopeful for, if this is what we're going to get, then I don't feel hopeful for the future of the Star Wars universe. So
Okay, that's an important piece. Okay,
Yep.
Morgan, where were your expectations? I think we know.
Now,
And
my
how has your
expectations
perspective
were
changed?
like a mid-level there. Like I was a little excited for it. It did not go the way I expected, especially with the story. I was expecting a lot more him fighting Inquisitors or whatever. That's what I was expecting. So I would say overall, it came in lower than what I expected.
Okay, Brett.
Yeah.
I think I was at like excitement level 10, expectations level 4, and I feel like it came in at like a 7.
Like
What was
that.
the 4?
The 4 was what I expected, how good I expected it to be. I expected it to
Got
be
it.
like a 4, and
Your
I feel like
hype
it hit
though
about a
was
7.
10.
Yeah, I was very excited.
Okay.
I love Obi-Wan.
That makes sense. I like the scale. I like using the scale. Meg, casual fan.
Yeah, so my expectations were low. Any sort of idea I had about what it was going to be about came from your speculation. And
She
ultimately,
pointed to all of us, by the way, for you.
yes, that was
audience.
all of a group of all of you. And so ultimately my feelings on it, like I don't know, I guess my expectations were met. It wasn't a show, like if you guys hadn't been talking about it and I knew that, like if I had known that this was coming up, that we were going to do a review on it, I probably wouldn't have been as interested in watching it versus The Mandalorian, which I wanted to
Interesting.
watch week to week. And like when I had to stop it, to go finish a chore or whatever, I didn't want to stop watching it. This one was just kind
Because
of
of
like,
Baby Yoda.
yeah, mostly yeah. But no, so like it just, I was just more hooked into that than I was this. Just was like I'll watch it, but it I don't want to say it felt like a chore because it didn't, but it felt more like I need to watch this because we're going to discuss it rather than I want to watch this.
Sounds like a chore, Meg. You do fall in that that kind of newer Star Wars fan category of the Disney Plus Star Wars fans that are fans of the Disney Plus series and not a prequel fan or an original trilogy fan or even the old sequel trilogy fans, weirdos that they are. All right, so let's now knowing where our expectations are, and I will say I am right there with Brett. That hype was at a 10. I think I was expecting a little bit higher than a 4, but I think I came in at around an 8 for quality. Some scenes were up in the 9s for me. There was definitely some really, really, really great Star Wars that came out of this, but there was definitely, there was a lot of WTFs from it. So let's talk about some of those WTFs. And I'm going to start with you, Morgan. You seem like you have the highest emotions about the show. So let's get into talking about what your issues, maybe parentheses around that S, are
A lot.
The Kenobi.
Sure, you want me to go? Maybe I'll start saying some things and then I'll open up a discussion.
I got a little list here, starting alphabetical. If you're ready.
I've got a pretty good list here. I think my biggest problem is there was too many WTFs for me that overpowered any of the good. For me, the good, I'll just say the good, that end fight, I liked the talk between them. That was a great scene. I thought when he was dragging Obi-Wan through the fire, that was pretty cool. Other than that, the rest was for me.
Yeah.
Big things.
What's your biggest WTF of the show?
The biggest WTF is
The trench
when
coat.
Obi-Wan pulls a Monty Python and puts her under a trench coat and walks her out the damn building. That was a big WTF.
Absolutely.
And before that, when I forget the woman's name that sacrificed herself, because we know her for 2 seconds.
Paula.
When she bitch slapped a stormtrooper and he went down, that blows my mind. When she was being escorted, she was just like, and he was like, 360 flip and goes down. I was like, I know their armor is useless, but we're taking it to a new level. Like that, every single chase scene was just dumb. Every single chase scene was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. When she's running through the woods and they're like, a tree branch. Like, what do I do?
I've stopped.
A tree branch. Or, Darth Vader rips apart that ship. The one 10 feet next to it, F it. See ya. Not stopping that one.
I think that's a little bit. Okay. Let's stop there. Let's talk about.
Do you get force drained? Do you have to drink a Monster Energy and come back?
No, I think that ties into the flashback that they had about how arrogant. I mean, he's always been known as an arrogant, Jedi, and I think that arrogance got the best of him in that scene.
I think there are limitations because he did lose mitochondria when he lost limbs. And so there are limitations.
Midi-chlorians?
I forgot about that.
Powerhouse of the cell.
Midi-chlorians. I forgot about that. That's true. He is missing some limbs, so his
what is mitochondria?
Midi-chlorian count.
Powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
I still have 30 more things on my list.
I'm even more scientific than I thought.
Okay. All right. Mitochondria.
Meg dropping some science on us. A little biology.
Thanks, Meg. You can learn stuff on this show. There was one, Morgan, that you asked, or you made a comment. I think it was on Twitter or Facebook or something. You made a comment, and I said, let's save this.
Oh, it showed they were incompetent. Presents.
What's that?
It showed Vader and Obi-Wan were incompetent. That's
okay.
What it was.
I think that was it. All right. So why do you think? So because he couldn't stop the second ship, you think he's incompetent?
No. So he's incompetent. So Vader's incompetent in this show because of everything he did. He decided to let Reva stay on, even though she was a youngling, there was no reason for it. He would not let somebody that knows who he truly is hang around him. That just doesn't make sense to me. The ship, he pulls apart the one, the next one, he's just like, whatever. We'll let it go. The fire, he's dragging through the fire, which was pretty cool. And then he gets shot at and just goes, I guess I can't pull him back. Even though I just lifted up Obi-Wan Kenobi, let him run.
Yeah.
The end, he buries him in some rocks and
Walks away.
It doesn't sense him.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, yeah,
these are force blocking. These are force block sensing rocks. So
stabs Reva a second time, and does not know the double tap rule, and it's just like, I'll let her go. I think she'll die. It was just too many weird. Like this is Darth Vader. We're talking like one of the greatest threats to the galaxy. Just seemed so stupid in this show. With the things he did.
I mean, I'm going to put this on George Lucas, and he gave us a version of Anakin Skywalker that just, there was a better story that could be told than the Anakin Skywalker we got. And so building off of the character that we have, he's an arrogant Jedi. Reva's insignificant to her. So he stabs her, leaves her for dead. He got left for dead. He wanted the same for her. Sure, he probably, why keep her around? Again, she's just so insignificant to him that he doesn't have a second thought. It's, I don't think it needs to be much more than that, but anything regarding Reva in the show is dumb. So I got you on it. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I do think that, the second ship, he doesn't see that there's two ships there. Again, the flashback talked about how his arrogance blinds him. and until he can fix that, then he'll still be a Padawan. And that right there, Obi-Wan knew he was going to come storming in to that hangar, and he was going to be able to fool him with that first ship. So I think
the second ship didn't fly away while he was pulling the first one out of the sky.
Pulled the first ones off, and then it took off, and it again, it just goes to show that his arrogance was blinding him. And he was like, "Shit, I lost that one." But he also, I forgot. I literally just lost my train of thought. I don't know. Does anybody have anything else to add on to what Morgan has issue with?
I think it was very developing for Darth Vader, because I think it really showed how beeline focused he was on Obi-Wan. Like, he didn't care about this, he didn't care about that, he didn't care about this. He was focused on that revenge, which is what the Revenge of the Sith. Like, that's what he was focused on, and nothing else mattered. And I think there are limitations to what he can do. We saw with Luke, like, he learned, A New Hope Luke was a whole lot worse than Jedi Luke. Like, there are limitations, and while he was doing some amazing things, there's got to be some energy. Like, energy can't be created or destroyed, but it's got to move.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think it was very developing for him. I think you really got to learn more about young Vader, because he is a young Vader.
Yeah.
And how he kind of became the menace that he was when Luke is much older. I mean, he was learning then.
Yeah. How does he get to be the greatest villain of all time?
Right.
He's got to go through some growing pains. Absolutely. And again, his beginning, his end. How do you create a show that's in the middle of that, where you have to still build tension in a show? I mean, you're going to have to go in expecting, like, you're not going to get a Vader versus Obi-Wan fight that is Revenge of the Sith level. They're not the same character anymore, for one thing.
I wasn't expecting a Vader that could pull down a ship and tear it apart with the Force. That's some powerful shit, right?
That whole stuff was bullshit. Like, a lot of the Force shit that they did was just bullshit, if you ask me. Like, there was weight, like, they just are throwing rocks at each other and blocking the rocks, and like, it was way over the top. So I want to circle back around to something that Meg said about her hype level expectation stuff.
Okay.
And you said, I think you referred to it as a chore. Like, watching the show felt like a chore. And I'm just curious,
Homework.
Meg, would you feel that way if it was a 3-part series? Like, if it was 2 or 3 episodes, would you have felt the same way? Instead of being a 6-hour block, would 2 or 3 hours and more of a concise, tighter story have made it less of a chore for you?
Yeah, I feel that way about almost all of the Star Wars movies and stuff. Like, if they had just tightened up the story and the dialogue a little, things would be way better. But yeah, I think cutting it down in half would have definitely made a big difference. And
because that is the premise to my issue with the entire deal, is that all of the sloppiness and all of the crap that's crammed into this thing is to extend it out to 6 episodes, because you got to keep people subscribed for 2 months. You got to keep them. You're going to do a weekly show, and you got to keep people subscribed for at least 2 months to make it worth your while. That show should have been a movie or a limit, like, this is a limited event, a 3-hour limited event, and you could tell that story much more concisely. You don't have to pump it full of the crap that's in there. The Force stuff. So does anybody else happen to remember a movie, Empire Strikes Back? I don't know, where a ship that's somewhat critical to Vader's plans escapes, and wouldn't it have been great if he had this power to stop a ship in the middle of flight and grab that ship and pull it back? Like, I don't know, like the Millennium Falcon.
mean in A New Hope?
No, in the Millennium Falcon, he busts in, like they literally do the shield generator to get the Millennium Falcon, and what do you know? The Millennium Falcon blasts out of the cave, and man, if only there was some sort of power that you could use to stop that ship and keep it from flying away, but he doesn't have that one. So that whole scene was just dumb. Like the whole scene was dumb. I get that you're trying to make him the most powerful Jedi that is there. It was dumb. Like it was a stupid scene to try and show off his power, and it was sloppy. Like I like you could show his power in other ways and not have to have it be like that, you know. And then Morgan's right. He's like, oh, he can stop this one, but the second one is gonna get away because his focus is just on this one. Well, if he's that disciplined of a mind to be able to do that, he should be able to switch targets very, very quickly and all that other stuff. But I think my stuff comes from the story should have been 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. You could have told a much better story. You don't have you cut a lot of the fluff. You cut a lot of the BS characters out. You make them, you know, one-time cameos, that type of stuff. I loved Jimmy Smits. I will say that I loved Jimmy Smits in this, and I didn't talk about him earlier, and I regret that I did.
That's really great. I forgot to bring him up
because Jimmy Smits was really good. He was really good in this, and I liked that tie-in to the previous series. You know, having him be the ambassador and stuff. The big plot hole.
I can't wait for more of him and Andor.
Yeah. The big plot hole for me goes back to A New Hope. You know, the way she introduces herself to him. Okay, they've had this entire adventure together. He saved her life. They've run around together. They played the Monty Python, or what is it, the Benny Hill, you know, type thing where she's underneath the jacket and stuff. They've had this whole adventure together, and then through R2-D2, she introduces himself and says, "Hey, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, not you and I. Hey, remember when we had that thing?" And they try to cover it up at the end with some sort of baloney line, like just this is a continuity.
Let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the finale,
yeah,
Jimmy Smith's character just word vomits all over and puts Luke in danger. So do you think that they learn their lesson and that they need to start sending coded messages, or at least generically coded messages, so that in case that does get intercepted, it doesn't put the other person in danger? I think that goes. I mean,
so it puts her dad in danger. Like she's willing to put her dad in danger. Hey, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars. You know how? No.
But that's not. That doesn't put. You know, it doesn't put Ben Kenobi in danger. And that's what he asks. He says, "Don't tell anyone, or else it puts us in danger." And they learn their lesson from that. And it goes. My question is, what do you want there? What do you want them to say there that they don't? Because is it your expectation that they're going to say a specific thing and they don't, or is it you just
she doesn't know
upset
him.
That? How do you know that? Though?
She doesn't know.
There
him.
is nothing there that shows us that
she wasn't even upset he died.
I mean, I don't
okay, but there has to be a certain expectation, knowing that something was made 40 years ago, that if we're going to make something, that there will be some vagueness to certain things, and that if, like, are you not allowing that to be the answer for you because you don't want it to be, or because it's not good enough?
Well, I guess
it's a gigantic plot hole. Like
my problem is
you could drive a truck through that plot hole.
Answer that question. How are you not letting that be the answer because you don't want it to be, or is it because it's not good enough? And if it's not good enough, how could it? Okay, so how could it have been better?
Well, I'm not a writer. Like I'm like they would have had to have. Well, if you really want to make it think, Leia's not your character. Leia is not your character. So that's how you fix that, because she doesn't know him in A New Hope.
I 1000 agree with that.
Yeah.
1000% agree.
She
with that.
doesn't know him in A New Hope.
That is
and so
absolutely the answer to that question.
Yeah. And that's all there is to it.
It's unfortunately we can't have it.
That's the
so
thing.
with what we get,
so let me
me
tell you, like the way I feel about this, and I had a conversation with my friend last night about this. I said it's a gigantic plot hole, but it doesn't keep me from enjoying the show. Like, I can look past it and go, okay. And that's really the ultimate thing. Like, nothing in this show, while irritating to me, keeps me from overall enjoying it. I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't hate this show. I liked what Brett said, the growth of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because you really see the growth of his character from the very beginning. He is not confident. He is
he's going through some shit.
He's scared, and he's not confident in his ability to use the Force. He's not confident in he's an old man. He gets referred to as an old man all the time, and which is a little disheartening because I'm not too far off from where he is, like in life. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Supposed to be a grandpa.
But yeah, I didn't hate the show. I think that's the part that, but you have to be able to look at that and go, this is a gigantic plot hole. Your main character that you're working with here has no memory of the guy that she's working on.
But working off of what we get, okay?
Yeah.
From Leia in the original trilogy.
Right.
There's 2 instances where she's linked to Obi-Wan. Obviously, the message. Their answer to that was, can't tell anybody. Jimmy Smith's character just basically almost blew it and got Luke killed. So be careful in your messaging. If that doesn't fill your plot hole, I get, like I said, 1000% agree. Leia's not your character. Don't even bring Leia into the show. Just, it creates that chance that people are not going to accept it. And then when Luke comes in, he doesn't say, I'm here with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He says, I'm here with Ben Kenobi. And she pops up in massive excitement. Ben Kenobi? Like, how would she have known who Ben Kenobi was? So...
father in the Clone Wars.
You fought with my father in the Clone Wars?
That's how he knows. She's heard stories.
Yeah, but he was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, Obi-Wan, Ben
Kenobi. He wasn't Ben Kenobi until he got to Tatooine. So that's now we have an answer as to how she knows who Ben Kenobi is, and we also have, this is a massive answer, why she names her son Ben. She respected and loved Ben Kenobi so much for this, what he had done for her in this short amount of time, she's willing to name her kid after him. So I think that is a very...
Sorry.
But are you not buying it again because it's not good enough, or is it because it's
sloppy?
And a big problem is the Empire now knows. I mean, why would the Empire let Leia grow up to be what she becomes and let Bail Organa keep doing his thing, fully knowing that the Empire just tried kidnapping her child? They did kidnap his child, right? And all this whole thing just to be like, you know what, F it, let's just let them do their thing. Let's let them keep doing government stuff, whatever.
To get to Ben Kenobi,
how bad we are.
To get to Ben Kenobi, or to get to Obi-Wan Kenobi, like they literally leveraged his daughter. Why would and nobody looks into it? Like nobody looks in. I don't know why my camera all of a sudden is
they're just like,
they're all blurry.
They're just like, we'll let them keep doing their thing.
Yeah.
What's the problem there? Like you're thinking it's that the Empire shouldn't have let Jimmy Smith continue to be a senator because they kidnapped his daughter?
Why did they kidnap? Why did they kidnap his daughter?
Bringing Ben Kenobi out of hiding, all they had to do was go get Leia. Why wouldn't they just go get Leia again? And having Ben Kenobi keep coming back out?
Yeah. Or full force attack that planet to get Ben Kenobi because
Right.
he's going to help.
Because you know that there's got to be an attachment. If everything you've done hasn't drawn out General Kenobi, and
Right.
you do this one thing and it pulls him out,
Right.
there's got to be some sort of
It
attachment.
took him away from his one and only job.
Right.
Watch Luke.
Well, they don't know
all
about
he
their
was supposed
jobs.
to
You
do.
can't
Yeah.
hold that.
He also,
So-
But I
he
mean,
also,
but
like,
also
this
the
was such a
Emperor,
thing.
like,
It took him away. They don't know Luke, but Obi-Wan quit his job to go help her.
but the Emperor also says, forget about Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's not of concern.
well,
He gives that
maybe
order at
maybe-
the end, and he
I
says,
just mean, like,
this
Yeah,
is-
but you don't
The
believe
king,
that.
Emperor
knowing
has-
you kidnapped his child.
But
is a
yeah,
big deal.
and Vader's
but the
just going
Emperor
to be
has
like,
such a vision for the Empire. Obi-Wan's not a concern. Again, arrogance is a very common characteristic of Sith. Things that are insignificant to them, they don't care. They don't pay attention to. It's nothing to them.
I just feel like
That's their
Organa could have
downfall.
started a big
But that's their
campaign
downfall.
being like, hey, the Empire kidnapped my child.
I mean,
Thankfully, we got her back. Let's all unite everybody. Like, they're kidnapping children.
so does the Inquisitor
that, but-
stuff? Does the Inquisitor stuff just end after this? Is it just over with? They stop
no,
hunting
it-
Jedis
it
after this?
Actually, it gets bigger after this.
Right.
Much
So
bigger.
we know that there's one particular Jedi who people, he's numero uno on the big man's shit list, but we're gonna stop hunting him, and we know exactly how to get him to come out in the open. At least
Sure.
that's what worked before. So
Again,
Leia's
Emperor
the
says-
Leia's the wrong character for
That's what it comes
that.
down to.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
what it comes down to. Leia's the wrong character for that, and
I
again, I not that I'm defending it or driving home. I'm not trying to drive home the point to make it look bad. I liked the show. It needs to be 2 or 3 hours. It needs to have a different motivation for pulling him out of where he was. And I don't know what that looks like. It needs to have less Vader. Less Vader is more. I think have Reva be your main villain, and then maybe have Vader there to amp it up, and then you have that final scene, where maybe he betrays. If anything, maybe he betrays Reva, like Vader betrays Reva and kills her to get to Obi-Wan. Like he wants to be the one, he uses
I would
her
love that. I would love
to
that.
have gotten that, but then you still get that thing at the end. So you still get that scene at the end where he because he's willing to kill anybody to get what he wants and use
He
anybody.
never though. I actually watched an Easter egg video on that exact topic. He never murders anybody just to murder anybody. He murders everybody he murders. There's a point to it, and I don't want to break it down, but it like kind of once he broke it down and I watched it, I was like, oh man, that's interesting. Vader never just kills to kill. Like there's always a reason. Even the sand
He
people,
kills him.
he killed them.
Yeah. Didn't he kill
Because-
some kid in that?
It doesn't
village
make
one?
it right. Like,
Oh, I'm not saying that's right. No, absolutely not.
Justified.
Change the Constitution. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, this is what I love about nerd debates is, getting into the granulars of this really makes it fun. Morgan, I do remember what it was that you said earlier that I said saved for the show, which was it was a meme that says, "I must do." I must. Do
Oh,
what I
that's
must
right.
do," or
Because
something.
Obi-Wan does
And
not
you
do what he
said-
must do.
And I said, what must he do that he doesn't? And you said, kill Vader. Obviously, he can't
Which
kill
obviously
Vader.
we know we can't because of we
So
have.
the
but, like-
reason, but here's, you got to have a good reason why he doesn't kill Vader at that point.
what's
There's
the-
not a big answer for why he doesn't kill Vader. Like, it would have been really helpful if he killed Vader at that point. But actually, the answer to that is Vader actually isn't the big bad. It's still the Emperor's the big bad. If he kills Vader, the Emperor's going to just bring up the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor, and he'll be the next
True.
Vader. And it's just
But
cut off one head,
think if we took that
two
method in World
will
War
take
II,
its place.
they were like, listen, Hitler's the baddie, so
I
don't
liked-
worry about the generals.
No.
We only need Hitler.
I
No,
liked.
but I get what you're saying there, and then I don't think that's apples.
I'm not comparing this to World War II,
Or-
people, but
I think that's apples to oranges.
I loved that final scene between the two of them. That was the highlight, and really made the entire series worth every minute that I watched. That last scene between them.
Yeah.
The fact that Vader takes responsibility for his actions, and he doesn't need to absolve Obi-Wan of any guilt that he may feel. He doesn't do that for him. He lets him know that I made all of these choices myself. You didn't do this. And if there's any bit of nostalgia and continuity bonus, is that when you go back to A New Hope and Obi-Wan says to Luke, your father was betrayed
Killed
and
by-
murdered
Yeah.
by a young pupil of mine named Darth Vader. He's not lying to him because Vader actually told him that exact thing. I killed
exactly.
Anakin Skywalker, and man, that
That's
that was
great
awesome.
point.
Like to me, that whole bit was awesome, and I really loved it. But Brett, you've been unusually quiet about
like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just
Let's
curious.
get your
like,
final thoughts, Brett.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious. Did you have anything in there, like anything negative that you would like to have seen better, or like what's your take on my opinion that it's too long, or that type of, like I'm curious what you would have to say.
If they were to have released a 3-episode story with the exact same thing and a 6-episode story with the exact same thing, which one would you have watched?
3 hour.
Yeah, the 3 hour probably. I mean,
So
well,
if they'd have given you a 3-hour event and a 6-hour at the exact same time, as a Star Wars fan, you're going to sit down and watch the 6-hour one. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste my time.
Yeah.
So if
Well,
Star
Wars
I'm
fan
saying saying that if you cut out
That's a
a
good
lot
point.
of the bullshit that's in the 6-hour one, you could. There's way too much crap in the 6-hour version, like to me. And I
don't-
think if
I don't
I
disagree with
remember,
that.
if
Meg
I-
already covered that. All Star Wars needs to be tightened up.
Yeah.
I
I don't
thought
disagree with that.
I
All
thought I
trilogies should be
remembered
one movie.
seeing like something on the timeline for the movies, like way back at Comic-Con. They had like like episode 7 and then Rogue One and then episode 8, and then like an Obi-Wan movie, and then like episode 9 and then like Solo or something like that. Like I thought I remember seeing something.
This started out as a movie. It was going to be a movie.
So I thought this was supposed to be a movie at some point, and that's what I think
the story
happened.
was very
I think
different.
Disney
though.
Plus happened. I
Yeah.
think Disney Plus happened.
Yeah.
And
Disney
like I
Plus,
said,
yeah, for sure.
and that's my point. That's really the point that I'm trying to make, is that they need to stretch it out over 6 weeks because they need you to subscribe for 2 months. They need
Yeah.
your subscription for 2 months, and that'll be good enough for them.
I don't.
I love
don't
that.
disagree
I
with
love that
anything
thought though, Brett, about as a Star Wars fan, you choose the 6 hours.
You're 6 hour, yeah, because you want to
Yeah,
see
if-
you want to see 6 hours of that universe. Anything,
If a month from now they released 3 more, I'd watch them too.
I'll watch them. Yep.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Because I'm
so I think you're right. It could have been more concise because once it's out, it can't. And I think you're completely right. And I feel like Leia was the wrong choice to use. I think you could have gone in a lot of different directions and gotten the same growth from Obi-Wan
Mhm.
with a different story. What I thought they did well with it, I thought they did better than what they did poor with it. Like a few like glaring plot holes aside, like I think it was watchable and you can take away from it some good things. And I thought some of the good things you could take away from it was at the very beginning when Obi-Wan is there, he is a completely, I mean, especially at the end of Revenge of the Sith, or at the end of Revenge of the Sith, like if you're Obi-Wan, like you just killed your fucking boy, your side just lost. Everything you loved is
Right.
over.
Completely
You would
defeated.
want to crawl in a hole and die, and you would create a person that's very hopeless.
Yeah.
And I think they did a very good job in showing
Agreed.
this is a hopeless, beaten down man, and something has got to happen between that point and A New Hope, which I feel like gave more value to the name of A New Hope. Something has to happen in between those two things to make this very beaten man hold on to something. And so
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely true that they needed to have a story in there. I just think Leia was the wrong person to use.
Yeah.
I think the right
great
person to use would have been to connect it to
Jedi
Fallen Order Cal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that would have been a better way to go because he would have been the opposite side of the coin of Reva. Like she was a youngling that saw Anakin and went to the dark
or
side.
just use the another, Reva was too much like the second sister in Fallen Order. I mean, it was almost the exact same character, almost the exact same storyline. So absolutely, that's where I wish it would have gone, is tie it into Fallen Order.
I think if you'd have taken Leia out and tied him into Cal to show that there is a young, and not to mention, I feel like that would have set up Star Wars to move away from the Star Wars saga and have a new young cast.
Yeah.
I think they missed a great opportunity in that. So I don't disagree, and that's why I only put it at about a 7. I liked seeing the Darth Vader fight at the end, and I completely agree with Eric in the Vader killed Anakin, and I feel like that did give value to that line because otherwise it was just Obi-Wan lying to a kid.
Right. Yeah. Right. So really, it was a really good point. I
think it was a good story. I wish they'd have gone about it a different way. And with that fight, I feel like it felt like very Spider-Man-esque when everything fell down on him and he just needed some little bit. Yeah. He had to realize, it was inside me the whole time.
In Homecoming, and
yeah.
Yep,
he just blows.
It was just missing a
reflection.
It just needed a reflection.
Zombie Strange.
It's been into the whole time.
Oh gosh, Zombie Strange.
I was very much impressed. Someone like work the body. Like there's blinking lights there on his chest. I feel like in all instances, when there's something blinking, you make it stop and you shut it down. And so I appreciated that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I thought
and
that was cool.
You got to think that after that fight, though, Vader's got to go back to the engineering department and be like, hey, look, I need a backup. Okay, like I know this is the primary.
Don't let this happen again.
This is the primary systems, but I need a backup, probably on the back, like battery backup. That's gonna, give me just a little bit extra.
into my butt. Though.
Yeah, right.
That's when the engineering department goes, where are we going to get the money from this? Well, all right, fuck it. Let's just not cover that hole in the Death Star. Yeah, right. And we'll take that budget, put it to his suit, so that way he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the end, I agree with a lot of what they've said. A lot of what the negative duo here says. I agree with a lot of it. I think they could have told the same story with a different cast and probably a movie, or I wouldn't mind 6 episodes, kind of like with like Boba Fett. Like the best part of Boba Fett was Mando.
Yeah.
Like I was glad that Obi-Wan was, I felt like, the best part of this. And I felt like you could have really set yourself up by bringing in Cal, who's an actual human being. Like, you've got the actor, and he's young.
Right. It would have been perfect.
It's right there.
And I think you could have really moved the story forward with a different cast.
Yeah, I get it. Opportunity missed. And you know what? I've seen a parallel between where Luke is in episode 8 compared to where Obi-Wan is at the beginning of this show, and I say that's horseshit because, like you just said, Brett, dude lost his brother. He had to kill his brother. Like the Republic is over. All that he's been fighting for his entire life, the Jedi are done. He has every right to be in this like shit state. Luke in episode 4, it's 40 years later. I mean, sure, a lot of stuff could have happened, but he was in a much better
Tried
place.
to kill your nephew. That's on you.
Yeah, I mean,
He tried to kill him in your sleep. You should talk
he
to
just
him
beat
first.
the Empire. Why would beating the Empire lead him down the path that he went down? So, anyway, not a comparison. Meg, final thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I just had a question, and I wasn't even sure if it was a legitimate question, so I Googled, and it is, because other people are confused too.
Okay.
Why the hell did Reva go after Luke? Did she know that he was Vader's son,
That was a good
or
question,
was
'cause he
she
didn't
just
say it.
was just because she was pissed off at Obi-Wan? Like, what the hell was going on with that little piece?
And,
Yeah.
and I want to piggyback off that too, because that message didn't say who Luke or anything, just
So
the
they just have to
children.
go to
So how did she
Tatooine.
know?
Yeah.
He said, I'll have
Luke.
to go to Tatooine and I'll help Lars out. And that triggered Reva's memory of episode 1 talking to Lars. And she's like, oh, that guy I was talking to in episode 1
The guy
really
whose
was
hand I
lying
didn't
to
cut
me.
off.
Yeah, yeah, that dude.
She
Dude,
did
I
say,
didn't.
she said something to him like, do you love him like your own, or something like that. So then I'm like, okay, so does she think that that's Obi-Wan's son? Does she know that it's Vader's son? Like, I was just confused.
I think
about
she
that.
knows that he's
He's important.
Vader's son. I think she knows he's Vader's son, but
Okay.
I don't. And I think she went there to kill Vader's offspring.
Which I was not.
I think that's half the reason that she needed to die,
get revenge.
because like I feel like there's a lot of loose ends they didn't tie up. Like I feel like there's
Yeah.
got to be something. I feel like they left it way too open for a season 2, which I didn't exactly want.
They should have just like made it like, okay,
She knows
this is
way
it.
too much.
this is
Like
it.
at some point, Vader's got to think Obi-Wan's dead, or he's just going to keep on coming. Like at some
Yeah.
point, it's got to happen. And also, you've got someone running around the galaxy that knows Luke and Leia are the children of Darth Vader. How does that not get out? Is social media is that not a thing in the future?
No.
You know she would have
I don't
tweeted
see
it
it
at some
going away.
point.
This was
She
a
would've
long
got
time
drunk and
It was a
ago.
tweeted
long time
that.
ago.
Brett,
This is
in
the
a
past.
galaxy far,
Oh.
far away, long time ago.
You would have got
Internet
wasted,
wasn't around.
tweeted it, tried to take it back.
I think there's too many loose ends.
anything regarding Rivas, we agree is dumb.
The whole track.
Morgan, do you have any last negative thoughts to get out?
Yeah, I was disappointed. Like I said,
The
that
music.
even that whole she put the tracker on them, that was stupid. That means she clearly anticipated Obi-Wan showing up, getting Leia, and escaping in order for her to put a tracker on the robot.
What's wrong with a plan B?
That's not a plan B. That's just dumb. How about plan
That's
B?
it.
Kill Obi-Wan while he's in headquarters base. That should be
That's
plan
kinda
B.
plan-
Because
to
she knows
fail. Like,
Vader wants
I
to be the one
planned
to
to
kill him.
fail and let this guy put a girl under a trench coat. Like I planned.
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But she knows
because
that it has to be.
I want to
Vader
wait till I
kill
got
him.
an arena of all my boys behind me to kill this mofo.
And that was another one. She
And-
throws the bombs and kills poor Will, and then she just says F and I ain't tossing bombs at the other ships. I did
It's
my
too
job.
far away. Too far away. Limitations.
There's no
Morgan,
limitations to the Force. Just ask Rey Skywalker.
I
Oh,
thought
gosh.
when they were down there in that little tunnel when they were fighting the water, that reminded me of a lot of the end of Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Order. It was like
Oh,
shot
yeah.
for shot.
Oh yeah,
Like that whole scene.
Well, I feel like
the whole
it
episode
has to be the same place, right? It's got to be the same place.
yeah. That's
Gotta
got to
be.
be the same spot.
has to be. All right. I'll say this about Star Wars. When Star Wars is good, and at times this show, it was really good. And at times Star Wars is the most frustrating thing out there. Man, and it can really, 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 really irk us. But that's because we love it so much. We all nerd out about Star Wars like crazy. We have our nerd debates all the time. It's not just about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that maybe the one time Star Wars fandom has ever been in a collective agreement is about about Boba Fett. So that's one great thing about Star Wars is there's a different kind of Star Wars nerd within the fandom, and we all have our own love and idea about what it should be and what it can be. And I do think, Eric, you got the biggest and best winning point of the night. It shouldn't have been Leia. I think that may be the biggest takeaway I take away from this entire review is it should have been somebody else other than Leia. So great job on that one. Buddy.
Well, thanks. In all fairness, like I said earlier, and that's the contradiction that exists in the show. The MVP of the show is Leia. You know, it makes that's pretty incredible. I mean, she is the MVP of the show, but she shouldn't even be. You know, I mean, maybe the same actress
shouldn't even be there. Yeah,
yeah, but.
Well, and that brings it back to that point a couple of weeks ago on the rundown when you're talking about Millie Bobby Brown. Is she like? Are we going to get like a 18-year-old Leia? I hope we don't. I hope I hope this shows like don't give us any more Leia.
Yeah,
Leia is perfect the way she is.
Yeah,
we don't need any more context around Leia.
And I have to say, and this is again the contradiction that exists in the show. I thought Moses Ingram's performance as Reva was good. Like I liked her performance. I know that everybody's like the shouting and the whispering and all that stuff, but again, that's the direction that she's being given. You know that's how she's going to play that character. But I liked her and I would have liked to see. I think Brett maybe said it before, but. It would have been great if she was the main villain, you know, like make her the main villain, and then I think I said it later. Maybe have Vader as the cherry on top of that, you know. And then you have that final battle between them. And somehow
they did that already with Fallen Order, though.
Right,
they had Second Sister as the main villain, and maybe spoilers for you if you haven't finished the game.
Yeah, I haven't. But
Vader pops up at the end.
Yeah,
and is like not necessarily a big bad, but kind of final boss.
Yeah. Anyhow, I liked, you know, like I said, I liked it, but it needs to be better. Star Wars
does need to be better.
Star Wars just needs to be better. You know, and
there's a lot more potential out there.
There is. I will say the soundtrack and the score was awesome. I did love
Natalie Holt.
I did love Natalie Holt. I'm loving what I'm picking up what she's putting down. I'll just say that. Like I'm looking
forward to more of her for sure.
Yep.
I like the director. Like I felt like
Deborah
even
Chow.
though she might have had some miscues, she didn't write it.
Yep.
And I was glad to see her make that jump from actress to director.
Yeah.
Definitely some good visuals, I thought. And the lighting of the lightsabers was awesome.
Oh man, that was super cool.
I do love that.
Yep.
That started in the prequel trilogy. I'll get the prequel or the sequel trilogy. Sorry, sequel trilogy started doing that. I think it was maybe in Rise of. It may have been in The Last Jedi where they started doing the onset light in it, and it's just so much cooler, especially when in those dark scenes. So the visuals were great. Of course, it was a beautiful
the way they did
show.
the lighting when Anakin came out in Darth Vader and he was blue, and then once Darth Vader took back over, he was red. Like I thought that was cool.
This is the big budget special effects we have on our for you folks at
on the
home.
Nerd Rundown,
who
special effects coming
for you folks at home that aren't or
you
in your
turn
cars.
on your videos.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
Brett D. King has now brought out his lightsaber in the dark.
I see,
and you can see
your lightsaber's pretty decent size there.
Yeah,
Brett.
That's the extra large.
It's average size. Is that what you said?
I wonder if she
average
means
size?
old Ben Kenobi.
All right, team. Thank you for jumping on. Great to have y'all back. Really great to have you back, Brett. Miss you, brother. Miss you all. Eric, I'll be seeing you this weekend. Look forward to that. And as for all of you listeners and watchers out there, let us know your thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment, interact with us. Let us know what you want to debate us on if you want to debate us on it. That's going to be a big part of the Nerd Rundown coming up in the future. We're going to Be debating a lot more on this show. Love it. Can't wait for it. With that being said,
master debaters.
we'll have a little trophy. Says that. With that being said, we'll see y'all next time on the Nerd Rundown Presents.